Well, I'm Fred Wood. I'm a member of the Friends of Colo and the Willow Warriors.
And I'm Jeff Cottrell. I'm again a friend of the Colo and also a Willow Warrior. And yeah, both the groups were started basically because we were people that enjoyed outdoor activities and paddling, bushwalking, etc. And we wanted to put something back into the area that we were paddling in or bushwalking.
The willows themselves, they're aggressive. They'll form complete dominance over a stretch of river. They'll grow forming like a delta from bank to bank, and the river gets wider and wider and shallower and shallower. So it's a landform changing tree. They ruin the water. They're deciduous. They drop their leaves in. Our rivers aren't designed to handle that. Oxygen gets sucked out. Crustaceans, small insects, all these sorts of animals die. Fish population reduces. It's just a downward spiral where there's willows allowed to get out of control.
There's about 40 species of willows in Australia, and of those, about 30 of them are invasive, and 3 of them have been specifically listed as not being invasive. The weeping willow, a willow called a pussy willow, and there's a New Zealand hybrid that's also been regarded as not being invasive, but all the others have been classified as invasive. And so on the Colo was the black willow, and it spreads by seed. The other type of willow that's invasive are what they call fragile willows, and they include crack willows and tortured willows, and that they spread vegetatively along the river. So a bit of the branch breaks off, drops in the river and floats down, and the willow will grow from that bit of branch. And so that's the way most of the willows that are in New South Wales that are spread along rivers have got there, is because there were some plantings done during the sort of 30s, 40s and 50s for bank stabilisation. They brought these crack willows out to do that, and unfortunately they're a very fragile willow and they've just spread continuously down river systems.
We had started on a big trip organised by the national parks.
After we did that first trip, we realised that we'd probably taken a little bit too much more of a risk than we should have, and so we contacted the Penrith Whitewater Stadium, and Jack Hodge there had done willow control work and obviously a lot of raft guiding in Victoria, and said, well, I won't just give you some advice, we'll get Penrith Whitewater Stadium set up to help you. And so they run training courses for us. Also Jack then said, okay, rather than using canoes, you should be using rafts, and we'll lend you rafts and we'll organise raft guides for you for the trips you do. And so that's probably been the biggest thing that helped us on the Colo, is that we didn't have to worry about the OH&S issues of taking volunteers into wilderness areas, because we had raft guides that had the appropriate first aid qualifications and the trip leading qualifications. And that's probably one of the biggest costs to the program, is hiring raft guides. This is a site where the landholder was concerned that if we remove the willows, that there might be some bank destabilisation and he'd lose his access road to his property. So what we've done is we've done a planting in here. So all these plants that are around us just here are all long stems that we've planted, and then there's some willows, black willows in behind here that are tall single stemmed willows, is what black willows are, and we then come and ring bark those so that the tree itself will stay alive, the banks will, the trunk will stay alive and the roots will stay alive, keep stabilising the bank while these other native trees here are growing. Now I won't actually point around up into this tree because I don't want to kill it at this stage. So Fred's going to make the hole. Make the hole, and then I basically just squirt in 2 mils of Roundup. Just squirt into the hole. And so we work our way around the tree, yes. So Fred will just do it every 2 inches around the tree. You'll do a notch like that. And that's how you treat any type of willow, or that's pretty much any sort of woody weed, is that same technique. If you have a smaller twig of it growing out of the ground, like this, so here's the size, that's the size of the seedling, all you do is just scrape up the side of it, and then you smear the Roundup down that cut. The treatment techniques are fairly simple. You can also do cut and paint, so you might have a pair of secateurs and cut it off, and then you'll go and just cut the spot you've cut, and that bit of debris that you take off, again you have to remember that it can grow from been just left on the ground, so you have to put it up somewhere it's dry, or you can pour a bit around up the end of it, but still put it up somewhere it's dry in case it does spread. We currently have programs that we run on the Wingecarribee River near Mossvale and Berrima. On the Wallondilly, we're starting a program with national parks there. There's only some isolated willows down there. We've got a project on the Murrumbidgee where we're doing mapping for the local land care group down there, the Upper Murrumbidgee Land Care Association. And this year we'll be doing treating some of the willows that we found last year, the highly invasive ones. We mapped some willows on the Barrington, on the Goobagandra. We checked up an Emboida to see if there were any willows on there and didn't find any, but had a good time doing it.
We had a good time.
Yeah, we have a part of the willow process is you should obviously get in and map the willows where they are, and then come through and treat them, and then after you treat them, do monitoring work, which basically means paddling down the river and just seeing whether any have grown. So now our code word for going and have a good paddle is we're going to go do a monitoring trip somewhere. Everyone has sort of got a bit out of the group, and from my point of view, the botanical stuff and just doing bush regen work is something that I sort of had interest in when I first started, or like I'd like to do some work with restoring rivers, but it was through this group that I got that knowledge, and I've gone and done. I'm now a member of the National Willows Task Force, trying to expand my knowledge of how we treat these willows and get them out of our river systems, particularly in New South Wales, where they're not as big a problem as they are in some of the other river systems around Australia.